afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Everybody on the West Coast, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I knew this was going to happen. As soon as I started talking, I knew I was going to start coughing. Oh my gosh. What's up? What's new? What's happening? Hey, UK. How you doing? Canada. What's going on? Okay, it's not a kid show. Let's run this down real quick. You got Rugrats, Crumb Munchers running around. Time to put them for a nap. If they're homeschooled, it's break time. Okay? Here we go with this okay shit again. If they're old enough to be in school, they should be in school. If they're not, give them Xbox, PlayStation, iPhone, iPad, whatever, and tell them to go in their room or listen to music, put the headphones on, or put your headphones on yourself because, you know, sometimes I go off and shit happens. So it's not a kid show. Not a kid show at all. All right. So this is for big people. Anyway, let's go. Okay, so we're reading Project 2025. And we left off at, I guess, the family values part. Let me see here. What the hell the title of it is. Where'd it go? Oh, boy, we'll find it. Promised, number 1, restore the family as the centerpiece of American life and protect our children. All right, so they went into the LGBTQ. And I urge everybody, just download a copy of it. And so you get a heads up in case the orange man wins, which I very, 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 hopefully he doesn't. All right, let me try to get this over here so I can see everybody, see what's going on here. All right, so there. And I don't have it on my phone anymore, folks. So we won't be struggling with that. All right, let me get it to where I can see it good, see everybody good. All right, make sure my signals are all okay. Check that out. Yeah, we're good. We're good. All right, let's get going. Let's get going on this. So, hey, if I cough, you know, please excuse me. Give me a break. Give me a freaking break, man, you know? So we're all on here. What's going on? Got all that posted. Everybody's right. I'm on X and Threads and Blue Sky. Okay, so anyway, let's go to pornography. Pornography manifested today is in the omnipresent propagation of transgender ideology and sexualization of children, for instance, is not a political Gordian knot inextricably binding up in disparate claims about free speech, property rights, sexual liberation, and child welfare. It has no claim to First Amendment protection. You hear that? You know, MAGA's going to love this when they take the pornography away. They're just going to go freaking nuts. Okay? They're going to say, oh, I thought they were only going to own the libs. I only thought they were going to own the libs. I heard that before. And when Trump first won, on way back when I was on Facebook, one lady, MAGA lady said, oh, I thought he was only supposed to own the libs. So I'm like, well, there you go. Okay, it has no claim to First Amendment protection. Its purveyors are child predators and misogynistic exploiters of women. Their product is as addictive as any illicit drug and as psychologically destructive as any crime. Pornography should be outlawed. The people who produce and distribute it should be imprisoned. Educators and public librarians who purvey it should be classed as registered sex offenders. And telecommunications and technology firms that facilitate its spread should be shuttered. I wonder if I've read that before. I don't know. In our school, maybe, I don't know. In our schools, the question of parental authority over their children's education is a simple one. Schools serve parents, not the other way around. That is, of course, the best argument for universal school choice, a goal all conservatives and conservative presidents must pursue. But even before we achieve that long-term goal, parents' rights as their children's primary educators should be non-negotiable in American schools. States, cities, and counties, school boards, union bosses, principals, and teachers who disagree should be immediately cut off from federal funds. The noxious tenets of critical race theory and gender ideology should be excised from curricula in every public school in the country. Those theories poison our children, who are being taught on one hand to affirm that the color of their skin fundamentally determines their identity and even their moral status, while on the other hand, they are taught to deny the very creatureliness that inheres in being human and consists in accepting the givenness of our nature as men and women. Who wrote this shit? Allowing parents or physicians to reassign the sex of a minor is child abuse and must end. For public institutions to use taxpayer dollars to declare the superiority or inferiority of certain races, sexes, and religions is violation of the Constitution and civil rights law and cannot be tolerated by any government anywhere in the country. But the pro-family promises expressed in this book as central to the next conservative president's agenda must go much further than the traditional family issues. Every threat to family stability must be confronted. This resolve should color each of our policies. Consider our approach to big tech. The worst of these companies prey on children like drug dealers to get them addicted to their mobile apps. Many Silicon Valley executives aimlessly don't let their own kids have smartphones. They nevertheless make billions of dollars addicting other people's children to their TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms specifically designed to create the digital dependence that fuel mental illness and anxiety. Yeah, well, what are they using constantly to get their message across? All right. And anxiety to fray children's bonds with their parents and siblings. Federal policy cannot allow this industrial-scale child abuse to continue. Finally, conservatives should gratefully celebrate the greatest pro-family win in a generation, overturning Roe v. Wade, a decision for the 5 decades, made a mockery of our Constitution and facilitated the deaths of tens of millions of unborn. No, there are no unborn children. Stop it. But the Dobbs decision is just the beginning. Conservatives in the states and in Washington, including in the next conservative administration, should push as hard as possible to protect the unborn in every jurisdiction in America. In particular, the next conservative president should work with Congress to enact the most robust protections for the unborn that Congress will support while deploying existing federal powers to protect innocent life and vigorously complying with statutory bans on the federal funding of abortion. Conservatives should ardently pursue these pro-life, pro-family policies while recognizing that many women who find themselves in immediately difficult and often tragic situation on the heroism of every choice to become a mother. Alternative options to abortion, especially adoption, should receive federal and state support. In summary, the next president has a moral responsibility to lead the nation in restoring a culture of life in America. Again, there's a lot of problems with this. A whole lot of problems with this. All right. So they're just rehashing what they've been saying all along. A national abortion ban. Good luck to the mother that has problems. If she dies, she dies. It's like, hey, well, shit happens, you know. And it goes on. So, promise 2. Dismantle the administrative state and return self-governance to the American people. Now, this is, I don't know. All right, so I'm going to read it. Of course, the surest way to put the federal government back to work for the American people is to reduce its size and scope back to something resembling The original constitutional intent. Conservatives desire a smaller government, not for its own sake, but for the sake of human flourishing. But the Washington establishment doesn't want a constitutionally limited government because it means they lose power and are held more accountable by the people who put them in power. Okay, what the hell? Conservatives desire a smaller government, not for its own sake, but for the sake of human flourishing. But the Washington establishment doesn't want a constitutionally limited government because it means they lose power and are held more accountable by the people who put them in power. Like restoring popular sovereignty, the task of reattaching the federal government's constitutional and democratic feathers called to remind Ronald Reagan's observation that there are no easy answers, but there are simple answers. In the case of making the federal government smaller, more effective, and accountable, the simple answer is the Constitution itself. The surest proof of this is how strenuously and creatively generations of progressives and many Republican insiders have worked to cut themselves free from the strictures of the 1789 Constitution and subsequent amendments. Consider the federal budget. Under current law, Congress is required to pass a budget and 12 issue-specific spending bills comporting with it. Every single year, the last time Congress did so was 1996. Congress no longer meaningfully budgets, authorizes, or categorizes spending. And what they did, too, they can't go back. The problem is government is the country, the people, the things that are going on are so big. They have all this in committees. What these people are doing is they're saying we're going to just not have committees anymore. That's what the original thing is. They didn't do committees back then. You know, they had people in Congress sitting around and I got this bill, and then they passed it. They didn't send it to committee and have them hash it out and have thousands of witnesses and everything else. That's what's called bureaucracy. You know, and that shit. Sometimes it's for the good, sometimes it's for the bad. Now, every once in a while, they'll pass a bill out there and then, have a yay or nay. But, everything else, it goes to committee. They want to find out. They want to let's dig deeper. Let's send this to committee. Oh, my God. Okay, so anyway. All right. Am I right? All right. Okay, said party leaders negotiate a multi-trillion-dollar spending bill, several thousand pages long, and then vote on it before anyone literally has a chance to read it. Debate time is restricted, amendments are prohibited, and all of this is backed up against a midnight deadline when the previous omnibus spending bill will run out and the federal government shuts down. This process is not designed to empower 330 million American citizens and their elected representatives, but rather to empower the party elite secretly negotiating without any public scrutiny or oversight. In the end, congressional leaders' behavior and incentives here are no different from those of global elites insulating policy decisions over the climate, trade, public health, you name it, from the sovereignty of national electorates. People's public scrutiny and democratic accountability make life harder for policymakers, so they skirt it. It's not dysfunction, it's corruption. And despite its gaudy price tag, the federal budget is not even close to the worst example of this corruption. They just go on and on. That distinction belongs to the administrative state, dismantling of which must a top priority for the next conservative president. The term administrative state refers to the policy-making work done by the bureaucracies of all the federal government's departments, agencies, and millions of employees. Under Article 1 of the Constitution, all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. That is, federal law is enacted only by elected legislators in both houses of Congress. Yeah, okay. This exclusive authority was part of the farmers, SEA, Mangled News. The framers, get the shit out of your mouth, doctrine of separated powers. They not only split the federal government's legislative, executive, and judicial powers into different branches, they also gave each branch checks over the others. Under the Constitution, the legislative branch, Congress, is far and away the most powerful and correspondingly the most accountable to the people. Because people in their different districts vote for them. In recent decades, members of the House and Senate discovered that if they give away that power to the Article 2 branch of government, they can also deny responsibility for its actions. So today in Washington, most policy is no longer set by Congress at all, but by the administrative state, which means the president. Given the choice between being powerful but vulnerable or irrelevant but famous, most members of Congress have chosen the latter. Congress passes intentionally vague laws that delegate decision making over a given issue to a federal agency. That agency's bureaucrats, not just unelected but seemingly unfireable, then leap at the chance to fill the vacuum created by Congress's preening cowardice. The federal government is growing larger and less constitutionally accountable, even to the president every year. A combination of elected and unelected bureaucrats in the Environmental Protection Agency quietly strangles domestic energy production through difficult-to-understand rulemaking processes. Bureaucrats at the Department of Homeland Security, following the lead of a feckless administration, order border and immigration enforcement agencies to help migrants criminally enter our country with impunity. Bullshit. Bureaucrats at the Bureaucrats at the Department of Education inject racist, anti-American, ahistorical propaganda into America's classrooms. Damn it. Bureaucrats at the Department of Justice for school districts to undermine girls' sports and parents' rights to satisfy transgender extremists. Woke bureaucrats at the Pentagon force troops to attend training seminars about white privilege. Bureaucrats at the State Department infuse U.S. foreign aid programs with woke extremism about intersectionality and abortion. Unaccountable federal spending is the secret lifeblood of the Great Awakening. Nearly every power center held by the left is funded or supported one way or another through the bureaucracy by Congress. Colleges and school districts are funded by tax dollars. The administrative state holds 100% of its power at the suffrage of Congress, and its insulation from presidential discipline is an unconstitutional fairy tale spun by the Washington establishment to protect its turf. Members of Congress shield themselves from constitutional accountability, often when the White House allows them to get away with it. Cultural institutions like public libraries and public health agencies are only as independent from public accountability as elected officials and voters permit. Let's be clear. Are you really freaking clear about this shit? Okay. The most egregious, I got that right, regulations promulgated by the current administration come from one place, the Oval Office. The president cannot hide behind the agencies, as his many executive orders make clear. His is the responsibility for regulations that threaten American communities, schools, and families. A conservative president must move swiftly to do away with these vast abuses of presidential power and remove the career and political bureaucrats who fuel it. That's just what Trump's saying. I'm going to put in my own people, get rid of all these people, fire them. Properly considered, restoring fiscal limits and constitutional accountability to the federal government is a continuation of restoring national sovereignty to the American people. In foreign affairs, global strategy, federal budgeting, and policy making, the same pattern emerges again and again. Ruling elites slash and tear at restrictions and accountability placed on them. They centralize power up and away from the American people to supranational treaties and organizations, to left-wing experts, to sight unseen, all-or-nothing legislating, to the unelected career bureaucrats of the administrative state. As monolithic as the left's institutional power appears to be, it originates with appropriations from Congress and made complete by a feckless president. A conservative president must look to the legislative branch for decisive action. The administrative state is not going anywhere until Congress acts to retrieve its own power from bureaucrats and the White House. But in the meantime, there are many executive tools a courageous conservative president can use to handcuff the bureaucracy. Push Congress to return to its constitutional responsibility, restore power over Washington and to the American people, bring the administrative state to heel, and in the process defang and defund the woke culture warriors who have infiltrated every last institution in America. So what are you going to do about the people who were voted in there, the so-called libtards that were voted in there? What are you going to do about them? Throw them in concentration camps? I don't know. The conservative promise lays out how to use many of these tools, including how to fire supposedly unfireable federal bureaucrats, how to shutter wasteful and corrupt bureaus and offices, how to muzzle woke propaganda at every level of government, how to restore the American people's constitutional authority over the administrative state, how to save untold taxpayer dollars in the process. Well, yeah, you'll cripple the country, you dumb fuck. All right, so anyway, this is going really freaking well. Finally, the president can restore public confidence and accountability to our most important government function of all, national defense. The American people desire a military full of highly skilled servicemen and women who can protect the homeland and our interests overseas. The next conservative president must end the less social experimentation with the military, restore warfighting as its sole mission, and set defeating the threat of the Chinese Communist Party as its highest priority. Goodbye, Walmart. Goodbye, Target. Goodbye, Lowe's. Goodbye, Home Depot. Goodbye. Who else? Who else? Every goddamn place you go. All right. And they're going to pick on the Chinese. You know how much money we owe the Chinese? Huh? God, I hope they don't come to collect the debt. Jesus. The next conservative president must possess the courage to relentlessly put the interests of the everyday American over the desires of the ruling elite. Their courage cannot be prevented. It must simply be ignored, and it can be. The left derives its power from the institutions they control. But those institutions are only powerful to the extent that the constitutional officers surrender their own legitimate authority to them. The president refuses to do so and uses his or her office to reimpose constitutional authority over federal policy making, can begin to correct decades of corruption and remove thousands of bureaucrats from the positions of public trust they have so long abused. You know what? Bullshit. Promise 3. Oh my God. The United States belongs to we the people. Don't forget that. Don't belong to the president. All government authority derives from the consent of the people, and our nation's success derives from the character of its people. Well, that's what's happening. I don't know what you're going to, okay. The American people's, the guy got, the American people's right to rule ourselves is the obverse of our duty. We cannot outsource to others our obligation to ensure the conditions that allow our families, local communities, churches, and synagogues and neighborhoods thrive. The buck stops with each of us, so each of us must have the freedom to pursue the good for ourselves and those entrusted to our care. To most Americans, this is common sense, but in Washington, D.C. and other centers of leftist power, like the media and the academy, this statement of basic civics is branded hate speech. Progressive elites speak in lofty terms of openness, progress, expertise, cooperation, and globalization. But too often these terms are just rhetorical Trojan horses, concealing their true intentions, stripping we the people from our constitutional authority over our country's future. Boy, you want to talk about gaslighting, huh? America's corporate and political elites do not believe in the ideals to which our nation is dedicated. Self-governance, the rule of law, and ordered liberty. Boy, you're going to get some liberty when we win. Yep. And Trump's in jail. They certainly do not trust the American people, and they disdain the Constitution's restriction on their ambitions. Instead, they believe in a kind of 21st century Wilsonian order in which the enlightened highly educated managerial elite runs things rather than the humble, patriotic working families who make up the majority of what the elites contemptuously call fly over a country. I never heard of that. The Wilsonian hubris has spread like a cancer through many of America's largest corporations, its public institutions, and its popular culture. Those who run our so-called American corporations have bent to the will of the woke agenda and care more for their foreign investors and organizations than their American workers and customers. Today, nearly every top-tier U.S. university president or Wall Street hedge fund manager has more in common with a socialist European head of state than with the parents at a high school football game in Waco, Texas. Many elites' entire identity, it seems, is wrapped up in their sense of superiority over those people. But under our Constitution, they are the mere equals of the workers who show after work instead of before. Shower, not show, shower after work. So these people are getting clean. This is as it should be and must be. Intellectual sophistication, advanced degrees, financial success, and all other markers of elite status have no bearing on a person's knowledge of the one thing most necessary for governance, what it means to live well. That knowledge is available to each of us, no matter how humble our backgrounds or how unpretentious our attainments. It is open to us to read in a book of human nature to which we are all offered the key just by merit of our shared humanity. One of the great premises of American political life is that everyone who can read in that book must have a voice in deciding the course and fate of our republic. That's what people vote for, you jerk. Progressive policy makers and pundits in America either fail to understand this premise or intentionally reject it. They enthusiastically support supranational organizations like the United Nations and European Union, which are run and staffed almost entirely by people who share their values and are mostly insulated from the influence of national elections. That's why they are eager for America to sign international treaties on everything from pharmaceutical patents to climate change to the rights of the child, and why those treaties, invariably endorse policies that could never pass through U.S. Congress. Like the progressive Woodrow Wilson a century ago, the woke left today seeks a world bound by global treaties they write, in which they exercise dictatorial powers over all nations without being subject to democratic accountability. That's why today's progressive left so cavalierly supports open borders despite the lawless humanitarian crisis their policy created along America's southern border. They seek, I got it in 1 minute. They seek to purge the very concept of the nation state from the American ethos, no matter how much crime increases or resources drop for schools and hospitals, or wages decrease for the working class. I'm going to stop there. There's a lot of shit going. And the biggest thing that they want to do, white conservatives, and why they don't want abortion, is they are afraid of black people. They are afraid of Hispanics. They are afraid of Asian people. They are afraid of the Rainbow Coalition. They want this to be a white Christian country, period. That's what they want. Sounds awful lot like Hitler to me. Over again. Hitler, do that, number 2. All right, that's it. I'm done. I had a great time. I hope you did too. And boy, oh man, what a way to go, huh? Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye to these people. Say goodbye to you, right? So say goodbye to them. Say goodbye. I hope you're playing your music. Oh, boy, I'm telling you, this drives me crazy. So be careful. Have a good day. I'll be back here Wednesday, Mondays and Wednesdays. All right. I hope you enjoyed it. All right.